Hi, this is Ted, and you're listening to the Real Ted G podcast, where you can always find us on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I think I got all of them.
No, you got them right.
Oh, good. And we got Bing in the background.
Howdy, partner.
Okay. Howdy. I said south, not west. Right. So we're going to actually speak on a topic about decisions and Bing. What I've noticed, I think I've noticed it more so these days, and I don't know if something has changed in people's thinking or in what people might value. I've noticed a lot of interesting things when people are making decisions, because that is what I do. Well, I mean, we all make decisions. I made a decision to not button the top button today. I made a decision to yell at the telemarketer on the phone 5 minutes ago. So we all make decisions, obviously. But what I'm noticing, and I talk to people about making real decisions, life-changing decisions, whether or not they should sell their home. And see, I have a good grasp on that. Like when I'm sitting down with a client or a potential client, a seller, I have that category. That's an easy one where we just sit down. They ask questions about the real estate transaction, or questions about the market, or questions about house values and how everything can be an impact. A lot of different topics, and I can handle that. And then 9 times out of 10, they usually make the decision to actually, move forward with what they want to do. And all right, so what decisions? I also sit down with agents that are looking to either make a move, join my company, affiliate with a brand like that I currently have, Coldwell Banker. All different factors go into those decisions too. And then anyway, we'll go into some specifics. But what do you like? How do you, when you make a decision, do you weigh the pros and the cons?
Yeah, I weigh the pros and cons, and I actually, it's got to be of serious benefit for me to pull the, not serious benefit, but
like, do you make a list?
Cons
like,
are something you got to prepare for.
Do you make, let's take a decision. Okay, here's a decision. Working for me as my producer for these podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So did you make a mental list that said, okay, if I take this job, obviously there's a benefit, there's economic benefit, and there's also drawbacks. It takes time away doing this than doing something else, possibly.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It was more like I was working another job at the time, and I was like, okay, well, this was when I was working at the radio station, and I was like, all right, well, I'm definitely going to have to quit this job. And the pro was, I get to do what I like. I get to have someone new learn about podcasting. I get to show my skills, and I get to, there's
very new, in fact, because I've always been told to listen to podcasts, or a lot of people rave about all different podcasts. And I wish I could say that I listen to more than my share of podcasts, and I'm going to have to start changing my own mindset, because I think there is great information out there. But I'm completely brand new to podcasts.
Right. And that's why it's, like you said, there's a lot of people that are telling you to listen to them, and there's a lot of good information, and you have a lot of knowledge to add to that information bin. And, for cons, it's more like, okay, well, it's a part of a business. Business is unstable. But then, what I thought was like, okay, well, jobs are unstable. Jobs can go out of business, and I could take a risk and do something that could pay off in the future. And if it doesn't pay off, okay, well, there's other jobs, because I was already at the point in my career in radio where I was like, well, I took a risk in going into an unstable career. And
you mean by producing podcasts as a career, or do you mean working with Ted?
No, I mean, working in radio was unstable.
Oh, wow.
That's, allaccess.com, which is the radio industry's main source of finding jobs and keeping up to industry news and progress, is going out of business. The company I was at started losing clients left and right. And I was like, okay, well, this didn't work. Let's try going into business for yourself. And, there's pros and cons with that too. The pro is there's more freedom. You're in charge of everything. There's more say in how you do things, and there's more flexibility to progress at your own speed. And the con is, there's a lot of operating costs. There's having to, work isn't handed to you. You have to find work. When you get work handed to you, that means you're doing a really good job and you're getting referrals. So,
and you should know that I actually did refer you to someone already, someone's.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to just say that I can admit that I think I'm considered, I'm difficult to work with.
Really?
So I don't know how you find me. Like I feel like a lot of times, not that I've rescheduled, a lot of times I have the idea that's in our head, in my head, and you have it a little bit on paper. And I think that sometimes it's a little more fly by the seat of our pants on these. And I hope people enjoy them. If I am funny, I'm not doing it intentionally. If I'm boring, I'm obviously doing that one intentionally. So I don't find myself what I would say is the best client. I feel like I don't think I'm considered.
I've had much more difficult, I guess, clients in the past, but you're a joy to work for. I mean, life happens, so sometimes you have to reschedule at the last minute. But that's
see, if there's an interview at 3:00 and we were planning on just going, going through with the podcast, and I have to interview this new, it's like, oh, I have an interview. It literally happened while we were filming 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, we hired the kid, so that's all good. But okay, so that's where I find when I'm dealing with my own clients, I do appreciate the client that literally says, "Here's the keys." Call me with the money. I appreciate that, and that's kind of the way that I tend to be. I'd rather just give someone the keys and say, "Okay, Bing, go ahead. You just tell me point and shoot, and so I that's the kind of employee that I like. When I hire assistants, or when I hire like personal assistants or secretaries, that's the attitude I need. I absolutely need. I've had 2 amazing assistants. I've had, I think, 12 total, but
wow.
So 2 amazing assistants that literally I could almost say they're reading my mind. I need someone to read my mind and anticipate. The reward can be great. I think I know several of my assistants speak very nicely of me. One that I'm not considering the best assistant in the world is a lovely girl. She is, they were a lot younger when I had them as assistants. Lovely girl. And she actually generated some business for me by introducing me to a couple of people that needed help moving to Florida. So she was good in that respect. She just wasn't good with the daily tasks and the keeping themselves busy. I need a self-motivator, keeping themselves busy, almost creating the job. And that's where both assistants that I had that I do rave about, they definitely pretty much took the keys and kind of created the job around them. So anyway, that's where I know I have a very big, I have a shortcoming where I kind of want that automated, ready to go. Like when it took me 3 years to get a semblance of a lawn in my house. That's with paying not only a landscaper, but actually paying, apparently there's lawn people. I have a lawn guy who goes in and puts whatever fertilizer and all that stuff, the weed control, all that stuff. He does it. I've had him for 3 years, and now I have a semblance of a lawn, as opposed to maybe 3 years ago, just going ahead and just paying for the sod, automatic lawn. It's all ready to go.
Not that experience.
Yes, I like the idea of automation. Like, for instance, we'll discuss more ideas about where we're taking this podcast, and obviously a little more in terms of the social media realm. But again, people, I like to just hand people the keys and say, drive.
Yeah.
We'll end up in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And when it comes to like pros and cons too, like, when it comes to running a business, you need to weigh in, especially when you hire people. It's like, okay, well, what's the pro of this person, the con? What's the pro of this piece of equipment? But I feel like a lot of society, and like you said for me to put something in the notes, and I agree with it. Society looks at cons and gives up. They look at what the
Yes.
negatives are, and they focus on that, and they say, "Oh, it's not worth it." You know, it's
like I've seen it, I've experienced it. I mean, I've experienced it before, and I guess I'm not understanding it in today's day, and it could be because I'm old. I see it as here. A few weeks ago, I think you were probably here. Or no, maybe, yeah, yes, you were. We had a AC problem, so the building was warm. Okay, we all have jobs to do. We're independent contractors. I have agents that I have to help. I have clients that I have to help. But it seems so like the no, not dealing with this was just so readily available. It was like, oh, it's too warm, I won't be in the office. And I'm not saying that people can't work from home, but I'm talking about maybe someone who actually would benefit by being, let's just do the work. Let's figure it out. Open a window, like you said before. Open a window. Take a bucket of ice and put a fan in back of it, and let the ice, the cold air blow. There are solutions. I mean, the AC was fixed within 24 hours.
Right.
But I just noticed that no factor. And is it me, or is society too easy to say no? That's my opinion. I know I have my shortcomings. I have my problematic issues, and I think that there's well, anyway, wait, enough about me, but let's talk about society. But yeah, is it me, or are people just ready? Like, I don't give up. Like, I'm in a sad state of affairs because I have like that gene that just doesn't want to give up. I wanted something so bad. I tried this, managing an office. I wanted it so bad, and you can ask around. I wanted to do this so bad that I didn't give up, even though I actually could have done the no, and I could have done the fine, wasn't for me, and continued on my merry way, listing and selling homes, which I adore doing as well. And now I've kind of made a hybrid of it. But there was something that was nagging at me to be done, and I didn't give up. Well, anyway, that kind of attitude, and I don't see it in as many people as I used to. I used to be an agent, and maybe I was among 7 new recruits in one office, and I feel 5 of us had the I'm not going to give up, I'm going to do it, and two of us, maybe two did not have it. Okay, and today I think it's the exact opposite. I could have 7 agents in a room, or 7 agents working towards a goal, success in real estate, and I feel 5 of them have the bump in the road, and it's not a bump, it's an actual roadblock, and then it's a U-turn. It's like, and that's what I'm noticing with regards to people. And I can only speak for the things that are happening around me, but I think I also see it in the world. And is it just my imagination, or is that really something that's out there? Bing, I see
it too. I think a lot of people are just willing to be complacent.
Why are we easy to give up? Why do we want to be that? Why do we want to turn into that society?
I think, you know what it is? I think there's a lot of struggle that people see, and there's just not enough. Like, I don't know. I feel like our fortitude as a country collapsed in the post-World War II era because, that generation that fought in the war came from the Great Depression, and then, everything just got worse and worse and worse, and it was like, all right, well, we got to do something. I feel like it's the opposite now, where I think everyone's focused on, 1, everyone's over-medicated, 2, the food is just, I think the processed food is really doing something with the brain. But a lot of people are also looking at, like, high cost of living, and they're just looking at their situation and just accepting it for what it is and saying nothing else is possible.
It is a high cost of living.
But you can't use that as an excuse.
How many hours I have to work to subsidize my lifestyle? And my lifestyle, I don't jet set. I don't go to, I don't fly to Miami on weekends. But obviously, house, taxes, lawn, everything costs money. So I choose the pain of working, and maybe working longer hours, because maybe I want something. Maybe I want a bigger home, or maybe I want something. So I choose the pain. I choose the pain of work. And is it me, or are people not choosing it?
I don't think people are choosing it. Even people my age, like, I see a lot of, like, okay, like, I live at home with my parents, and, everyone does in their 20s. And I see some people, they have no money at the end of the month and they have very minimal expenses. And I see so many opportunities that are wasted to save money and put it towards like their future, where it's like, dude, you could save money and put a down payment on a house. You could save money.
No, I'm just seeing the attitude of people that seems like, I don't want to work that hard. And I think so. Back in 2008, there was I had a lot of great things going on business wise, and my phone was ringing off the hook. I actually think I may be busier right now, but it's a different type of busy. And my phone was literally ringing, like constant phone call for good things and issues and challenges, fixing them. Okay. And I remember another agent who was working alongside me, and he looked at me and said, why would you want to have your phone ring so much? I said, well, because on the other side of it is earning money and becoming successful. And it was like, so if you're not willing to, I'm going to be bugged. I hate to say that word. I am going to be consulted by my clients on a regular basis. And the more clients I have, the more consulting I'll do, and the more phone calls I have to take, and the busier I am. And in exchange for that, I get the reward of, income. And I just don't see, so my investment of time, energy, just in general, stress, anxiety, that's all my investment. And in exchange for that, and that's my materialistic, as much as I want to be a capitalist hippie, the first part was capitalist. So that's definitely my desires. But I just don't, if someone says they have the same desires, that I want success, I've had agents say, I want to be on a billboard. Okay, go sell 100 houses, you stupid shit. That one definitely could be a soundbite. Okay, so
I'm definitely clipping that.
Yeah. So, I want to be on a billboard. That's okay. Great. Put that on your vision board. Okay. Put that on your vision board. And then remember, though, you have to do all the other stuff behind it, because as much as we could say, you can go ahead and spend. You could spend $5,000. I think it's $5,000 for the year. It's actually not that expensive.
It also depends on sense of security. I think a lot of people feel more secure than they realize. Like for me, when I was, doing side job, this was before like I really took the business seriously. When I was working a job, and like I would have maybe like one or two clients that I would do some stuff for here and there. I wasn't as hungry to get business as when I left being employed completely. And now I'm, looking for ways to make more money and bring in more clients and help more people. And because I now have that drive, it's because I don't have the security of a stable job. That's really like what it is. I think a lot of people, they need to find out what their sense of stability is and just cut it. And then they'll start seeing more success in their business ventures.
Yeah. And so Bing, I'm just gonna, because I actually have adopted a new philosophy, because everything, you know how they say charity begins at home.
Yes.
If you want to change the world, change yourself.
Yeah.
And so yes, I definitely think that maybe I have a short fuse, especially with people I expect a lot from, because they've said that they want to achieve a lot. So, and I've made it very clear that the achievement is going to coincide with the work ethic, and so I may have a short fuse with people like that. Like I could turn around and say, "Bing, stop being an idiot," or "Bing, you're kidding me, right?" Like, "Bing, show me a little more respect." That kind of little attitude. So, will you tolerate it in exchange for having this job?
I mean, it depends on what. I mean, I'm not going to get screamed and cursed at. I've left jobs like that before.
I didn't say that, although I did grow up in the food industry. I mean, it doesn't happen.
It really depends on what the situation is.
Like I've adopted a new attitude on how people address me from now on. I hired a 19-year-old, and I did say to him, I said, you know what, you can call me Mr. G. I think I talked about this on a different podcast. You can call me Mr. G. And he said, okay. And I said, because Mr. T is taken. That's me being funny. Okay. So, but then he texted me, because I texted him. I said, have a great trip. He's leaving with a family trip to Italy for 3 weeks.
Oh, that's excellent.
So, yeah. So, and when he gets back, he's prepared to get to work. Great. And he texted me, thank you, Ted. And I said, I was not kidding about calling me Mr. G. And I didn't put a smiley face. I didn't put an LOL. It's, and the reason I'm telling him to call me Mr. G is actually for his own benefit, not mine. Because when people hear him say Mr. G, that's addressing a certain level of respect, maybe. So that actually is going to kind of like spill over into all of his work relationships or societal relationships. He actually knows a few of the same people that I do. Anyway, I don't know if you agree with that. I'm going to get your opinion on it in a minute as well. So yeah, so I've adopted that. So I think I'm going on a scale where if you're not over 30 and you're not paying a mortgage, you should call me Mr. G.
That's your own personal belief system, man. I mean, I can't really.
I believe you mean Mr. G.
Well, it's just I have my own way of doing things. You have your way of doing things. I don't really know. I mean, it's an interesting prospect, and it has made me think about where we have gone as a society, because that used to be the norm. You address someone by Mr. So and so.
Yeah. What happened to it?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of things changed. I think I blame the 60s for that, where it's the cultural revolution of the 60s, where
the 60s changed it. I gotta tell you, I think 2020 changed it.
Really? I mean, I don't think it really was, because I can't really recall, even as like a younger person outside of teachers, I never really addressed people as Mr. I only started really addressing, actually no, I started addressing people by first name.
So you mean, wait a minute, Bing, because here we're going to have a little clash of opinion.
Okay.
So obviously, we have some mutual people. When you interviewed with the newspaper.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't really. I can't really disclose too much in public about that. By the way.
How did you address? All I want to know is, did you address him by first or Mr. Last name?
First name. I think we mutually addressed each other on a first name basis. So, if I'm addressed on first name, I'll address you on first name, so on and so forth.
Wow.
Because
I'm telling you, society has changed.
Yeah, I mean, it was just because I was always not taught, but I feel like in school, I think I was told this too, where when you're in the real world, people prefer being called by their first name or something like that. I feel like I was told that. So it has changed in a way where familiarity was more accepted in the business world as opposed to formality. So I don't know when the shift happened, but I feel like it happened.
I feel it happened around the same time our administrative assistants wanted to be called AAs, not secretaries.
Oh, okay.
I'm that
what,
old.
the mid-2000s?
Yeah. Is that about right? Yeah. Was that what had happened?
Yeah, it's more, I guess so. I would say the mid-2000s, because that makes sense, because around 2015, 2016, like, I remember, like, people being like when I would be at jobs or whatever, they would say, knock it off. Don't call me by my last name. I'm working with you. So,
Oh, well, wait a minute. Calling someone by their last name like you're on the same football team.
No.
Like
Mr. and such and such. They're like, just call me that. And I guess you get told that so much that it's just kind of like, you might as well address someone on their first name. I feel that when I address someone as Mr. So-and-so, it doesn't exude professionalism, especially not professionalism, but like people look at me like I'm much younger because I look much younger, and it almost like makes me seem of lesser authority by saying.
Oh, I think that's where society. That's the point here. Just so we're clear, it makes you seem like you have less authority. I think people are very concerned with that, and everyone wants to stand their ground and say, "I'm not a pushover." And it's like, wait a minute. If I'm addressing the CEO of my company, who is obviously the CEO of the company, overseer of a lot more staffing than myself, in the corporate realm, why would I assume I have more authority than that person?
Well, it's not even like in that sense. I say it's more. I'd say it's just more like a. not equal footing. Not like that we're equals, but more just.
Am I going to come off like a weirdo when I'm talking like this?
No, I don't think you come off like a weirdo. I think it's old school, and I appreciate old school. Just for me, I kind of like, if I was to say, like, say I was going to a potential client, and I would say, oh, hello, my name's Anthony. What's your name? Oh, my name's Fred. Oh, okay. Then I would address the person as Fred.
Yes. If I introduce myself, yes, I get it.
That's usually how I start things. Or if I see off a business card, I'll call and I'll say, hello, can I please speak to, say that the guy's name's Mark, and I see Mark Wahlberg is like the name. I'll be like, oh, hello, can I please speak to Mark? He's the guy in charge of blah, blah, blah. And then the person will be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And then the guy will pick up the phone. He'll say, hi, this is Mark. How can I help you? And then, hi, I'm like, hi, Mark. So it's a lot of people just abandon the whole Mr. thing, especially at the assistant level, because
I don't want my secretary to call me Mr.
Right.
No.
But
I get it.
Usually they would be, if it was ye olden days, which wasn't too long ago, they would be like, do you mean Mr. Wahlberg? Or they would hang up the phone. But I feel like it's just changed so much. Even when I was working in radio, there were people that would address, and they were at like a close level with some of these people, but they'd address politicians by their first name. And,
And listen, I know there's holes in my theory because, as we advertise to obtain business, my first and last name are on there. I think by that I can see where someone might say, but you plastered it on a billboard. You put your name with Ted. So I do see where my theory is. I'm not perfect.
You could also just say, oh, okay, you could call me Ted, but I do prefer Mr. Gounelas or Mr. G.
Well, from certain people.
Certain people, okay. I mean, you could.
But wait, how did we get on this topic? Hold on, we were on the topic of decisions, and we did agree on something at the earlier part of this. We agreed that people give up, or people say, no, not my the that's not my job that's not in my job description kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And the more and more you have that's not in my job description, the less and less you will have responsibilities and the ability to move up, in my opinion.
Well, exactly.
But again, I'm old school.
It doesn't show initiative.
Doesn't show it at all.
Some people say, well, I'm not getting paid enough to do that, and it's like, okay, yeah, but right. If you do a little more and you want to get paid more and you want to stay within this company, like, do a little more and then you'll get compensated. If they don't compensate you and they're just using you for your extra labor and they keep pushing you around, that's another story.
Well, I see it as a treasure hunt. You get a map and you're on the hunt for a treasure, right? Now, when someone goes on a treasure hunt, no one pays them to go on the treasure hunt. No one says, as long as you follow the steps to the map, you're going to make, $1,000. I'm going to continually give you $1,000 a week. It's a treasure hunt. In our business, it's a treasure hunt. I mean, I don't know. I've never even used this terminology before, but hopefully it flies. So, yeah. So I give you a roadmap of what you should do that leads to success, and my roadmap comes from agents that have gained success. It's actually, I'm not a rocket scientist, and I really don't predict the future. The only thing I have on my side is karma. So you have this nice treasure map, and that I just see people giving up. I just see people saying, "Oh, yeah, no, not that. I'm not gonna move that boulder." Well, if you don't move that boulder, then you're not going to get to the next step, to the next place on the map to get the treasure map.
There's my friend's friends with another guy that opened a food truck. And the food truck specialized in fresh Italian food, like fresh, like goes bad in 2 days type of deal on a truck. And that type of stuff doesn't work well because it goes bad quick if you don't sell enough of it. And that happened with the gentleman. So he got his LLC, he had the truck, he had the equipment. And instead of changing the menu and changing the way he did things, he said, I'm done, I'm out of business after a month. Well, you've only been in...
I know.
It's like you can't give up that quick. You know, you have to give it time.
Yep. Or at least follow the treasure map.
Or follow the treasure map too. You have to outline your goals and plans, man. I mean, you can't just things get tough quick, and sometimes you're met with unexpected challenges. And
the thing is, things get tough quick. You're 100% right. Guess what? Things get tougher even quicker. And that's where I'm at a loss for words. Mm-hmm. if we're not willing to muddle through, if we're not willing to keep going through to make it onto the other side, then we're just a society of I guess I'll give up. I guess I'll give up. I guess, the old saying, I guess it wasn't meant to be. Everyone says that if it wasn't meant to be, it's not meant. If it's not meant to be, it's really up to me. So. Right.
And, you look at generations before us too. I mean, there were guys in the Second World War where they were told, there's a likelihood that only one of you in this entire battalion is going to survive this assault. So we're going to need you to run headfirst into the machine gun fire. And everyone went.
And they still went.
Exactly. And then now you have people today where it's like you can't even work. You have a mental breakdown if you work.
And in our society, we're not asking people to run through machine gun fire.
No.
We are literally asking them to just continue to work. Sweat it out.
Just work. It's a job. And they're usually good jobs, too, which really blows my mind.
Well, I think
not
that,
like, I understand the Walmart guy, but,
I think the level of discomfort and the level of pain is always correlated to the level of reward. And obviously we're going to talk about exercise on a different podcast, but that's exactly what they preach. The discomfort and it's only when you challenge yourself is when you grow. I know agents that, there's a challenge and they don't want to challenge themselves. They have their criteria and that's it. And if that's the way you're going to live, you're going to not live. You're going to just, you're going to keep quitting and you're going to keep calling everyone else, the excuse. So anyway,
well, it gets exhausting.
Yeah, I think we need I got to make sure we have a few more uplifting topics. It's just that it's a shame that I'm talking about decisions like that and we're agreeing. I would have preferred if you actually had a different argument. No offense, and it's okay, Bing. I like honesty as well. I would have loved it if you had a different argument and you said, Ted, no, that's not true, and here's what I'm encountering. I love that idea. Now. And so anyway, we have a few fun podcasts coming up, which I'm really happy about with a lot of guests. So back to decisions. So if am I giving advice? I mean, I'm just telling you how I like to be, and I love getting through the rock. It's like if anything else, I get the fulfillment of knowing I conquered a rock. And my analogy, my metaphor here is there's a rock in front of you. You can go over it. You can try to dig under it. You can go through it. You can go around it. Around it means more distance. Around it means more time spent. Okay. But if you're just gonna say, "Oh, the rock is there," I guess that's all it is. The other side of the rock is the reward. So my personality, I think people that know me would know. I just figure out a way around it. And I mean, resourcefulness versus resources always will pay off. Well, anyway, so I think that's gonna do it. Bing, do you want to add anything?
I'd say that I think if you want to see changes in your life, you just have to start doing them. As much as you can, even if they're little things. Do little things,
because all the little things will add up to a big thing.
Absolutely. I mean, cleaning your room, it makes your mind less cluttered, and then you can actually look around and see what you could put in your room. And if you need to change anything, like I had to do that recently. I bought a bunch of equipment and I had a storage unit I bought, and I had to rearrange my room because I was like, okay, well, I need to make room for the tools of my trade, and that's going to help me do business more efficiently instead of having stuff strewn all over the place. It'll make things more efficient. Or if you're tired of working at your job, you're working your butt off, and you are giving maximum effort, but you're not being compensated enough, or you feel that you're not moving up enough, or there's no room to move, apply to new jobs or look into starting your own business with what you learned at your current job.
Well, I have read a couple books, and I feel like it's Malcolm Gladwell, The Principles of Cause and Effect. Oh gosh, don't quote me on the author. I should have been more prepared. There's the book called The Principles of Cause and Effect, and in that book, it talks about huge business leaders of decades past, and even some of the ones currently as well. And a commonality is it's a belief that work the job you want. You said about you not moving up fast enough, and it's you work the job you want, and the job you want will end up manifesting itself. So, someone who says, I'm not getting paid enough to stay past 5 o'clock to, do this extra work. The thinking of decades past, maybe not current, the thinking of decades past was, no, I'm going to work the job I want. I don't care if I'm getting paid XYZ salary, which equates to not a supervisor capacity. Take on the responsibility, do the work, do the job, do the responsibility, and the other side will actually happen.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, there's some people, they do that for a while and they don't get anything out of it. So, and the thing is, you need to pay your bills too. I mean, we talked about, in our last episode, the high cost of living. And while I'm all on board for showing maximum effort and staying a little bit after to learn things, sometimes, at least in my experience, it hasn't really worked out for me. Where
now it hasn't worked out for you. Now, is a factor maybe you made the decision to agree with the no word slightly sooner than you should have?
No, I mean, I've stayed. I remember my first job out of college. I was doing promotions for a radio station, and I used to always ask for more work. I'd be like, I need more hours. Like, do you have anything? I remember once I worked like a 12-hour shift, and then I'd stayed after to watch these guys take apart an audio board and put it back together. And I would always do stuff like that. I'd always offer a helping hand with editing and stuff. And it was almost looked at as if I was like kind of like a nuisance. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't really that great. So then I just kept applying for other jobs that would take me seriously and what I wanted to do. I was kind of tired of always asking and volunteering when that was being looked at as like kind of a joke almost. So, at least that's how I interpreted it. So I was like, okay. So then I found another job at a radio station that took me more seriously, and I was there for about 2 years, and I volunteered extra work all the time. I'd cover people. I'd, look into, it's like, yo, let me be a sales guy. Let me help you with sales. I would do social media for them. I'd do side jobs for some of the clients there. Always looking for ways to improve the trade and the craft. So, it's just you gotta find a place too that appreciates that type of work as well. Like it kind of goes both ways in that regard, I feel.
I wonder if I'd have a different conversation if I was talking to someone 20 years older than you.
Probably. I mean, it is.
We'll save that for next week.
Save that for next week. Bring on one of your other guests.
Old person.
Same topic. Yeah, the older person. I mean, hey man, it's a generational thing. I mean, you talk to someone from 1850, and then you talk to someone, sit someone down from 1850 with someone from 1950. I'm sure their outlook of the world is going to be a lot different.
Yes, I bet you to a lesser degree than it is from someone from 1980 versus someone from 2020.
That's true.
Yeah, I think, and that's good. It's progress. Everything seems to be moving at a faster pace. I think technology is just expansive.
Oh yeah, it's definitely expediting societal change and social revolution.
That'd be a different topic.
Oh my God.
But back to decisions. I'm just saying, maybe sometimes when we make a pro-con list, maybe you should make the pro-con list. And then focus on that. I think a lot of people make a con list and then call it a day, and don't take into account the pro that's today, the pro that's tomorrow, the pro that's 5 years from now, the pro that's 10 years from now. It surprises me. It does surprise me. I'm getting surprised all the time this year.
I'd say so too. Well, why don't you tell the folks where you can find them? Find you guys. Find us.
You can find us on the pro list. You can find us on Spotify, the Real Ted G podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Did I miss one?
I think you got everything.
Okay. I sometimes feel like I miss one. And that's me. I'm Ted. Maybe sometimes I'm Mr. G. And all the time I'm the real Ted G. So thanks